Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Radiation alerts. Radiation alerts. Did you know that all cell phones emit radiation?
We have an announcement finally on whether cell phones cause cancer. It's something
that a lot of cell phone users worry about. Could your cell phone make you sick?
Researchers have been debating whether the radiation from cell phones poses any kind of a health risk.
Cell phones and the possible risk of cancer, brain cancer in particular.
Today, a new report says cell phones may raise the risk of brain cancer.
Concern surrounding harmful side effects from cell phone radiation is growing worldwide. How big of a problem is it? A potential pandemic. As of 2011, there were over 5.3 billion mobile phone users worldwide. That's over 77% of the world's population. Do you believe your cell phone is safe? Once upon a time, smoking was considered safe.
I'd walk a mile for a camel.
We all know cigarette smoking is now proven to be hazardous to your health. Do you use your cell phone 10 minutes or more per day? If so, you might be in danger. Fact: most cell phones come with a notice that says do not hold closer than 1 inch from your body. Fact: insurance companies refuse coverage to cell phone companies for claims made by consumers due to possible illnesses caused by radiation exposure from their mobile devices. Fact: in 2011, an international panel of 31 scientists representing the World Health Organization concluded that radiation from cellular telephones may be harmful to humans. Did you know studies have proven that cell phone radiation detrimentally affects the protective layers surrounding your brain?
In the summer of 2008, 58-year-old Alan Marks was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
They took out a golf ball-sized tumor. I don't think there's any question it's going to come back.
A real estate developer in California, Marks talked on his cell phone about an hour a day for 23 years.
There's no question what caused it. It was my cell phone.
The danger is real. Very real. Should you quit using your cell phone? Let's be realistic. So what can you do? What should you do? How can you protect your family? How can you protect yourself?
They told you there is no radiation. Well, that is just not true. Every cell phone is a radio transmitter receiver, and they all radiate right next to your brain.
A stunning new development from the World Health Organization tonight regarding cell phones. For the first time, scientists have publicly agreed with research suggesting that your calls might be causing you harm. The respected international panel says cell phones are possible cancer-causing agents. Our Rebecca Medina shares more on this developing story and why some say the ruling should not change our cell phone habits.
Talk, talk, talk. These trusty devices have become like an extra limb to some people. We spend lots of time with a cell phone so close to our brains that now the World Health Organization is saying it could be just as dangerous as chloroform, pesticides, and asbestos. The doctor who headed the research team said this in a statement. The conclusion means that there could be some risk, and therefore we need to keep a close watch for a link between cell phones and cancer risk. And here's what they say that risk looks like. Here's a brain with the cell phone off. Here's the same brain with it on. Notice the red areas at the top. It's believed the phone's radiation causes increased brain activity. But Dr. Edward Pan, a neuro-oncologist who does extensive research on brain tumors, said it isn't time to panic because there's a flaw in the data.
A lot of them have been based on depending on the person's own recollection of how long they've used it. So the information, the data is not definitive in that, so that's why it's not really solid evidence as of this point.
But Dr. Pan said it's something that needs to be watched more carefully in order to create better information. Some cell phone users we spoke with agreed.
You put it next to another phone and they buzz when they ring, or the popcorn theory when they all ring and pop the popcorn, so there's got to be something going on.
The World Health Organization now says there's a possibility, a potential risk. Radiation from cell phones could cause cancer.
Turns out participants in the study who used a cell phone for 10 years or more had doubled the rate of brain glioma, a type of tumor. And keep in mind, cell phone use in the United States has only been popular for around 15 years.
After several minutes, that it really starts causing DNA problems. It even heats the brain.
What microwave radiation does, in the most simplistic term, is very similar to what happens to your food. When you put your food in a microwave oven, it's essentially cooking the brain.
If you've ever put a cell phone to your ear, you should listen to what neurosurgeon Dr. Keith Black has to say.
There's no way to say that cell phone use is safe. I think that the public has a right to know that there could be a potential risk. Environmental factors take decades to see their effect, not a few years.
So if it may take decades to get a clearer answer, what can we say about cell phone safety now?
The researchers were hoping to determine if the radiation from the cell phones had any physiological impact at all.
I confess that after the findings, I changed my behavior. So now I use it on a speakerphone. I just put a wire on my earphones.
For years, studies have tried to link cell phones and cancer, but they've been inconclusive. Experts say this new study offers perhaps the first real step in the search for an answer.
This is a study that is interesting and will almost certainly provoke additional studies.
We have a responsibility to investigate whether there are or there are not long-lasting consequences from repeated stimulation after 5 or 10 years of cell phone exposure.
Stephanie, what do you have to say?
Well, Cherie, Jack, we've all wondered if our cell phones are passing radiation through our bodies, and tonight the doctors we talked to confirm there's enough evidence.
This is well recognized now as a possible risk to cancer. So the most vulnerable age group are going to be children, and more kids are using these cell phones.
Tu showed us his computer model, which shows us how much radio frequency children can absorb. It's enough for Tu to realize consumers should be alerted and aware.
In children, their skull is thinner, their scalp is thinner, so the microwave radiation can penetrate deeper into the brain of children and young adults. And their cells are dividing at a much faster rate, so the impact of the microwave radiation can be much larger.
And here's something else that might surprise you. The cell manufacturers themselves actually advise against putting the cell phone right next to your head or really anywhere in your body. Dr. Keith Black has been talking about this longer than many, but the voices joining him are becoming louder and more prominent. The city of San Francisco pushed for radiation warning labels on cell phones. The head of a prominent cancer research institute sent a memo to all employees urging them to limit cell phone use because of possible risk of cancer. And the European Environmental Agency has pushed for more studies, saying cell phones could be as big a public health risk as smoking, asbestos, and leaded gasoline.